This video is sponsored by SquareSpace.
Hello, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Ross.
I'm Patrick.
And today we're very honoured to be joined by the amazing Tommie Soule.
Hello. Cheers for having me.
Oh,
Genuinely.
Tommie, thank you for making the journey across the Pennines because...
I'll do it as many times as you need to. I'm up for it, man.
Don't say that.
Don't say that.
We'll have you on
I've said it.
If he gets to that point where he's changed his mobile number very quickly. Thank you very much, especially because you have made this our most northerly ever episode of this show.
Go Northerners.
The Northwest has been quite well represented for the first time. And then we go further up. We've got Newcastle, and then we've got
Cumbria.
So we're covering the north of England very well today.
And the variety of accents.
Which is never a bad thing.
We might need to translate some of this for our southern listeners. We'll do it. We'll
they'll
put
just learn
captions.
to figure it out. They'll get cultured enough. They'll eventually
If anyone's
figure it
got
out.
any questions, they can put it in the comments.
Yeah,
can't they?
absolutely
'Cause
right.
I know I'll certainly have some colloquialisms that might need explaining.
That's not a bad thing. So, as people will probably notice, one of the reasons that you've come on the show today is because your good friend, being Dave Taylor.
Dave, yeah.
Yes, he grabbed hold of me at Adepticon and said, "Would you have my mate on?" He's got a book dedicated to his work, along with some other amazing artists, and he'd love to have him on the show and talk more about that. And we thought that sounds like an amazing idea. And here you are. So before we delve into how the book came about and relationship with Dave and whatnot, how did all this start?
Hobby-wise, sometime in the 80s, I was in Plymouth and I saw a shop that had lots of these weird packets of things. I ended up buying a blister pack of dwarf ancestors, and I reckon I was in single figures in age. I didn't really know what I was buying or anything like that, but yeah, glued the plastic arms on these metal models, which I thought was weird at the time. And I basically used them as toys until my cousins then gave me a load of their old Warhammer stuff. And this might have been 1988 or 89.
Yeah.
So really early this is starting. And painted them up with Airfix paints, as a lot of people did. Or maybe still do, I would say maybe did. It's not common anymore, is it?
Not so much now. You don't see.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Tamiya paints are making quite a resurgence into the hobby.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a resurgence is the right word, because the Tamiya paints have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But I've recently started using them for airbrushing, and they're amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine they're a bit different now as well, I suppose, because...
they're still like solvent based.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah.
I think you're talking Humbrol though, back in the day.
Oh
weren't you? Like the little-
Humbrol and Tamiya.
Yeah.
I had both because I did Airfix kits as well as like Monster Beetles, but the monster trucks and what have you. The Monster Beetle being the one that I remember in a lunchbox, if you remember what the lunchbox is. You know, like the Dodge van, whatever it is. Yeah. But the small battery powered ones as opposed to the larger scale radio controlled ones. So I had all the paints for all them. And as time went on, HeroQuest happened a little bit, but it was the proper start was when we were passing Games Workshop Manchester, which was on Brown Street for those that are old enough to remember. And I was passing it with my mum, and it was all the shelves of painted models that caught my eye, in particular. And I'd love to know who this guy is, and if he's watching or somebody is watching. There was a diorama with an Eldar Phantom Titan in the cabinet in window in the Brown Street Manchester store. And it was painted in like metallic red. And I always remember the name on the plinth was Ash. And I don't know who this Ash guy is, but it absolutely captured my imagination. So when we went, and it kind of took off from there. My mum would take me. Do you know, my mum's massively responsible for all this. She'd take me to games days, she'd take me to the store, she'd take me to games nights, Thursday nights. Yeah, she just helped me out with it all, essentially.
Do you know, of all the guests we've had, that's probably the first time we've heard a mum being mentioned as being responsible. It's a lot of times older brothers or cousins, but we've never had mum being the big driving force to getting into the hobby, which is really, really nice to hear.
Do you know what, right? I love my mum. She's helped me out a lot. you know, and I've needed a lot throughout my life because I'm 46 now, and I know I don't look it, but yeah, she did. She helped me out with everything, you know, whether it be trips to Blackpool, trips to Natural History Museum in Manchester. Yeah, they're all my memories of my mum, and I hope she's watching this. Because she's at the age where she's kind of looking back and wondering how good a mum she is, or was, and she's awesome. So there you go. Well, it's true. It's true. I tell you what, if you meet me mum, I reckon you'd agree. But a few years ago, she got me to. She said, "Will you just neaten up my hair for me?" And I gave her a full-on tank girl, and she's still got it to this day. So she's blonde. She's got just a strip of hair up the middle, and she's kept it. She's can I say fuck or bugger?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, so she's rad as fuck.
She sounds awesome.
Yeah, she is.
Brilliant. So if you're out there and you're a mom, please subscribe.
Oh, you mothers.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic start.
Oh, man. So
It's important that you know you're both in a safe space, and what you say here today won't go beyond these walls. Lovely, Susan. Thank you. You know, it just feels like he's building walls. That's absolutely preposterous. It's only because you're constantly barraging me with this siege of emotion. Yeah, well, he only has one thumb and hates all his children. You're Primarch. Okay. There's a lot of tension. Yeah, because he said that we can't be friends again because my chapter failed to ruin his powers. But then he said if I built him a website with SquareSpace, then that'd be fine. And I built him this amazing website. Okay, tell me about the website. Well, Susan, it's incredible. SquareSpace is it's amazing now because there's Blueprint AI and SEO tools. So start a completely personalized website with the new guided design system, SquareSpace Blueprint. Choose from professionally curated layout and styling options to build a unique online presence from the ground up, tailored to your brand or business. You could have one for your little therapy thing. And optimized for every device, like phones and stuff. Easily launch your website and get discovered fast with integrated, optimized SEO tools, so you show up more often to more people and grow the way you want. Okay. You can also make checkout seamless for your customers with simple but powerful payment tools. Accept credit cards, PayPal, and Apple Pay. And in eligible countries, offer customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. All you got to do is get started with a professionally designed Squarespace website template with options for every use and category, and then customize your look, update your content, and add features to fit your needs. Transform any template into your own and stand out online on every device. And it's got like Fluid Engine and online stores and stuff. It's great. I mean, it's a really good website, and he asked me to build it, and I did. And then, yeah, we're still not friends. It makes me sad. I said I'd wait for him. Is there anywhere you can get a discount on such a thing? Yeah, quite easily. If you just go to squarespace.com for a free trial. When you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/thepaintingphase to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. It's that easy. Well, if someone had built me a website like that, I think I'd be friends with them. No, hold on a minute. You can see why this is why I build walls everywhere. The two of you are preposterous.
When did you feel like you sort of made the jump from it just painting them and being a little bit of a thing to start to go, do you know what, I think I can really start knuckling down into this?
I tell you what, I think there's a few points with that.
Okay.
Because there's my natural enthusiasm as a kid for doing things and improving at things. Then as that kid gets older, then comes the idea that, hang on a minute, I can do this as a job to whatever degree. And I get that at multiple points in the last 25 years as well. You know, so that's I suppose that's a story still ongoing.
Well, it's funny because that bit is a bit that sounds a bit familiar to James Tarrow. Was a bit like that, wasn't he? James was was a bit like, I really love this. And he went, oh, I actually could go to university and study to become a model maker. And then you know, how he was doing things kept coming back to, eventually all roads lead back to Games Workshop in a way, or hobby painting, to be more precise.
I mean, that's another conversation in itself. See, I will come back multiple times and I'll go on with myself a lot about this.
As you'll probably learn with us, there's not a lot of structure, so you just do whatever works best for you.
So, like, I was inspired, as a lot of people were, by Pictures in White Dwarf and the old army books. And I wanted to emulate Mike McVeigh's work in particular. Then, but at that time, I didn't really know who Mike McVeigh was. It then turned into, what White Dwarf was it? 139, something like that. I had Tim Prow's work in it, and Tim Prow became my favourite painter. And I really tried to emulate his work a lot. I actually wish I brought some of those models with me, actually, because I could show you how I progressed. Some of it's on my Instagram as well, so you can go and look there. But there was a Heavy Metal Roadshow, something that should still happen, I think. And I got to sit and watch Tim Prow paint, Tim Prow and Nigel Stillman. And I sat there. I wasn't as gobby as I am now. I was a lot quiet. I had to reforge myself multiple times as a professional. And I got to sit and watch Tim Prow paint a model from start to finish. I also got to sit and watch Nigel Stillman do the same. And I'm sorry, Nigel, right? But I got to see the right way of doing it and the wrong way of doing it at the same time. And I learned a lot just from sitting and watching. So Tim Prow was a massive, massive influence on me, because what I did then was I bought the same paint, same brushes, same model, went home and copied it. And that model is definitely on my Instagram. Right. It's like a Chaos Sorcerer with a bone armour, red or orange robes and blue sword. And a lot clicked in that moment, you know. But, like, I'm going to preface everything about painting and me by saying I put the work in. A lot of people would say natural talent, this, that, and the other. And I'll justify why not later on as well, if it comes up, because it's important. Like, I'd say if I did have something that was more natural, and I really try to think about why this is it's the ability to pay attention. And that, because you've read the book, you'll know what I mean by that. And I've refined that over the years. If you refine your ability to learn, then what can't you learn?
Yeah.
And that was what I had as a young age. I had the ability to pay attention and go, right, what am I looking at there?
Yeah.
Outside of opinion. And then go, right, well, how do I get that within logical thought processes, instead of, oh, you have to be artistic to do that. That's not a logical thought process. See what I mean? So as a young kid, I had that idea set in my head already for whatever reason. And I have thoughts as to why that is as well. I still don't think that's necessarily a natural thing, but it's a product of things that happen in your life. So if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. And if it can happen randomly and you can isolate it, then you can make it happen deliberately.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
You know, so blah, 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 blah. Watched Tim Prow paint. A lot of things fell into place as a young teenager. And then I just started going from there. But let me make this really clear. As much as I was driven by the end result that everybody else had created, doing the process was what interested me and excited me. And through doing the process, this is so important for anyone wanting to learn, or anyone who thinks he can't do it. Doing the process is what gets you the results. Being in love with the results does not get you results.
Yeah. It's so true.
The process gets you the results. Love the process. There again is another big conversation.
I
hope that answers.
I think we might have to have you on about 4 times.
Right, honestly, right. I would love to get all this off my chest before the day I die. Genuinely would, you know, because I mean, could I write a second, third, fourth book? I've thought about it, but it's like therapy to me. This, you know, it's like immediate gratification. You know, so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's fine. It was interesting what you said there as well, like how you, and probably you may see this from the other perspective, being a miniature painting tutor yourself, when you said you were watching guys paint and actually seeing it, like, as much as there are thousands now of YouTube videos of like, oh, you paint this, you do that, then you do the edge. Actually watching someone and actually being there and seeing the process in person answers so many questions that you can't see in a YouTube video, like how thin is my paint, what direction are the brush strokes. And I think a lot of those things are the stuff that nobody talks about, except for, as you say, I've read your book. Those are some of the key fundamentals, but not all of them, that you go through in that process. Is the thought process that isn't conveyed unless you're there viewing it, is somehow something that you've actually managed to capture and communicate that so few others do.
Thank you.
Oh,
yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you, because that is the point of it. Is to really take someone through an experience.
Yeah.
So the point of the book is not to tell somebody what to do.
Yeah.
But get them to experience through their own imagination. Because the point is, right, to get good at something, you need to change your behaviour.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's in here.
Yeah.
These two places. Like, you've got to really want to do it, be excited to do it, or threaten to do it. So, yeah. Right? It's in here. And then you've got to understand what it is, define it, and then you've got to execute it. But your behaviour has to change inside and therefore outside. Yeah. But if I can't change your behaviour inside, then your behaviour outside probably isn't going to change. So that's why the book is written in a way that takes a hobbyist of any level, because
yeah, it does.
Really any level, right? Through an experience to help them realise the truth, as opposed to what the rest of the world quite innocently and ignorantly, like, it's innocent ignorance. Like, if nobody knows, then it's not their fault, is it?
Yeah.
Through quite innocent ignorance, what gets passed down through our hobby is either product-based development, in other words, buy this, it makes you better, or dogma-based information, which is paint should be thin to the consistency of
milk.
Oh. Do you see what I mean? Like,
enough with the bloody milk. Sorry, I'm going to swear now. I'm sick of hearing that.
And while milk is a useful consistency, it's certainly not going to save you in 80% of other situations. So, from all the way to straight out the pot to thin to pretty much water, what consistency in that spectrum isn't practical.
Yeah.
Well, so the question is well, if they're all practical, how do you use them all? How do you isolate them all? How do you know when?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And then you'll find ones that you prefer for different jobs, whatever jobs they may and may not be, and off you go. But that's what I mean by, so I'm getting all mixed up now because I do this. So you get sold this idea of a product or let's call it a method.
Yeah.
And those methods are there to save you. But they're not unless you change you around those methods and you understand the methods a bit more deeply. Because a parrot can say consistency of milk. Doesn't know why, doesn't know how. You can teach a machine just these protocols, but they don't necessarily create art.
Another one's like too thin coats.
That's
not a dig at anyone who may go by that name.
That's why I've already seen it. So cheers for bailing me out there.
I'll happily say it, but no, it's a good, like, slap chop. They're good enough catch-all terms, but like you say, they are a piece of a wider puzzle. And I think your book goes into, if you understand this to a deeper degree, if you're willing to, and you understand behaviours of these activities and the products you use, like paint, to a deeper degree, there's a lot of this you don't necessarily need, but that will accelerate you ahead further.
Yeah, because once you understand, or as I'd say in the book, or to any of my students, once you're aware of what choices you have to make factually and physically, then it really does come down to you.
Yeah.
But how do you know what choices to make if you're not educated in what the facts are around those choices? You know, whereas consistency in milk, whilst it is a fact, is just a thin sliver of all your options. So you're not making a choice. Too thin coats is a catchphrase Duncan used a lot. So and it absolutely attracted the attention of the world of our hobby. So became a part of the hobby, and like no one's kind of to blame about it because that's human behavior.
Yeah.
But that in itself, it's not going to save you. You save you. You know, not like some reborn Christian or like that. Sorry,
that's fine.
Kicking him in the knee under the table. By the way. But the point is you save you using that information. You either use that information to avoid something you don't want or to achieve something you do want. Both pieces of information are fantastic, or the opposite, depending on what your objectives are. And if you understand the properties of your objectives, you can tailor make your path to hit them. Yeah. And if you're not educated in how to step on the stones on that path, you'll fall in bog of eternal stench, and there you go.
Yeah, the bog of eternal stench. So where do you think? Obviously, you talked about seeing the model being painted and then copying that at home. After that, how do you feel like what was the path of your education? I guess is the question that I'm
with painting.
Yeah.
Paint a lot because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest rock of all, I would say. And that is regardless of results. Whilst I always push myself, I love painting of all levels. You know, so again, anyone that's been following me, Scaven Army, you'll know I've just been doing base coat dry brush wash. Which has existed for billions of years, by the way, before even slapjob ideas popped around. Yeah, you know. So it's these standards like that dry brush Skaven excites me. Yeah, it absolutely excites me. And then as I've just dry brushed 2 or 3K worth of Skaven clan rats and whatever else, you know, then comes the figurehead of the army. What do you call him? Plague Priest. That's the guy. Then I get to pull out all my stops on that. But on the way, I'll have various unit champions or lesser characters, and I kind of half pull out the stops on them. So one thing about me is I'm very much an army painter. Yeah. As opposed to a display standard painter, which people have seen me as. Yeah. You know. And within army painting,
you do a very good job of pretending to be a display.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, bronze gold demon, whatever.
And was it, sorry, just to go, bronze golden demon, whatever. Sorry, we briefly talked about this before. Your bronze golden demon was almost a bit of it, like you weren't even intending to enter. Is that right?
Yeah, I didn't.
You're an accidental. Is it fair to say an accidental golden demon winner just by being ace?
So Mamacon sent me a message. He wanted to meet me, and thereby he wanted to buy me a ticket to Warhammer Fest, whichever one it was, 2018 sometime. And I was like, that's really nice. So I'll tart some of my models up, take them to him, and let him choose which one goes into Golden Demon. So he chose Ragnar. And I spoke to the guy. I said, look, you know, here's my situation. What category do I go in? And he said, you have to go in staff category, because I was kind of, at the time, was caretaker in a lot of stores. So I kind of was and wasn't a staff member. Sometimes I did it with and without a contract. So really interesting place to be. And thank you, Gareth, for helping me with all that, by the way. Gareth knows who Gareth is. Okay. If he's watching.
Thank Gareth, great
and
guy.
And Prince as well. You know. Ended up in the staff category, and got me a bronze golden demon, and I was crazy surprised, you know, because there's still many things, not necessarily wrong about it, but I mean I know these things that can be improved on that model big time, and I was still given feedback by the heavy metal team on what to improve as well. So that told me a lot about, you know, what you can get away with. But it tells you a lot about the power of certain parts of a paint job. essentially.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of psychology involved in creating a paint job, and if you can excite somebody so much that certain things are overlooked or are seen as part of the theme of the thing, then these things play towards you, play towards your objectives.
So I know, like, you look at a miniature and you're always drawn to the face.
Yeah.
Like what?
If it's painted right.
Yeah. Like what would be an example of something that you could get away with?
Ooh.
Like I'm going to enter a competition anytime soon. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing, without enticing the people that would say, yeah, but I would catch that, I would care about that, and blah 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 blah. But there are many models, you know. So I'm a judge at Salute. I get to look at. This year, the level was high. I get to look at a lot of models, and there's some parts of some models that, in the opinions of some judges, maybe mine included, maybe not. I'm not kind of going to be too specific, but there are parts of some winning models that can be seen as unpainted. Yeah, depending on which judge is looking, you might see that as a ambient light or shadow or whatever, you know. And some judges see the value in that, and other judges will jump on it. Yeah, you know. But the trick with being a miniature painter, you kind of got to wear two sets of eyes, all right? So, and this works with non-Mets. You've got to have the set of eyes of the audience. You've got to go into the show like you were an audience at a magic show. Yeah. You're looking for the magic, but if you weren't baffled by the magic, it's not much of a show. So you have to go in and be baffled by the magic, and that way you get the most excitement as an audience member. Yeah. As a miniature painter, if you're only baffled by the magic, how do you know you're doing it right? Yeah. See what I mean? So it's because, like, non-Mets isn't an accident. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Good painting isn't an accident. It takes a lot of deliberate actions. So you've got to know what you're doing, as a matter of fact. You've got to know how the trick works. But here's the other thing. The other end of the scale is, if you know how the trick works on such a technical manner, if you can't step back into the audience's feet and see if the magic has worked, then how do you know if you've done it right, even if you do have the technical skills? You see what I mean? Yeah. So you need two sets of eyes. Wow. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? So you need to know how to do it technically, but you need to know if the magic has worked. Otherwise, when you put it out there, you know, you don't know what your audience is going to experience. So with those two eyes, a painter will look at a piece and decide whether the magic has worked with a part, or magic hasn't. Yeah. A lot of top-end painters, it won't work with us because we can already see it. So top-end painters understand what's happening. Yeah. You know, and this is a discussion that I've had with a couple of members of the heavy metal team, because they do the same thing. You know, you might shirk some work on a belt or a holster or a shadow under there or whatever it may or may not be. You know, in fact, let's get Ragnar. Come on. Right, if I said that wolf head in there was not really painted that much, would you agree?
No, not in the slightest.
Oh God, I was trying to. right. There's not much shading or highlighting it on that.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm looking at the. In my defence, I was looking at the wrong wolf head. Also, you're right. There's not a lot going on.
Yeah, there's not a lot going on because I didn't put that much effort into it, because this was for an army. This was army standard. I mean, it's not army standard painting, but this was for my army, and I was doing it for pleasure, not for competition. You know, the love of the hobby comes first. Yeah. Trophies are a product of that love. Yeah. But if you love the trophies and not the bit in between, you're not going to get there. You'll be one of these frustrated hobbyists, which actually meet quite a lot. Yeah. Believe it or not.
That's brilliant. I think one of the interesting ones that, and I think that's it. I don't know whether it's a captain or, and I'm going to say this to wind Jeff up, lieutenant. I know. Is it the guy at the front? Can I pick him up without?
Go for it. Just grab it. I'm not precious about my models.
Hopefully, you might not be, but I am. Like, having looked at these for, like, again, it's a couple of years now your book's been out, and I've been a follower of your Instagram for longer than that. But seeing these in person does not compare, and hopefully we can get a on-screen little spinny thing of this. But my favourite part of it that is, so many people leave the back of a cloak or copy the front, but you've actually painted as though the front of the cloak is stitched, and you can see the depth of the front stitching through the back, but it's in monotone.
Oh, now I need to
which
see
is
that.
that's like, and it's little things like that are like, wow, that is such a, like you say, it's about, you've got, surely that's an example of like, you've kind of got to see the magic as the audience would see it.
Yeah.
Like, you sat there and looked at the back of that cloak, and I'd have looked at the back of the cloak and gone, oh, it's blue, I'll paint it blue, no one's going to look anyway. But you've gone, actually, what would this actually look like? What would stand out? What would show off the painting ability? There's so many, like you say, variables and questions that you've gone through in your head that I wouldn't even consider.
Yeah.
I've never seen that done.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never seen someone paint the reverse.
I always put something on the back of all my banners.
I've never seen someone paint the back of the stitched in badging before.
Yeah.
That's
The back of the pattern on the front.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of the ones in the book where I remember going through it, and I flicked through it again because it's been a couple of years since I've read through it, and I flicked through it again this morning. I was like, oh, I remember that. Yeah, that's brilliant. But it really does stand out, those differences, that minutiae of detail. But you've got that one thing, like you say, you go through, you talk about, right, you've got to know your considerations. Let's call them, let's just ballpark everything and like the considerations you make. And a lot of people will go in and their considerations are, well, this needs to be yellow, so I'll paint it pink and white, then I'll overcoat it with yellow, then I'll wash it, then I'll edge highlight it. Whereas your considerations go down as low as, okay, I've got this yellow, how do I get that to the right consistency to apply to this surface? And it even goes there. So like various considerations at every stage. And it talks a lot about awareness of like being more deliberate with every action, as opposed to okay, well, today we're gonna do this, then we're gonna layer that, then we're gonna glaze this, and everyone's like, I know what glazing and layering is, and it's like technically it's the same thing but thinner, but not, and it's oh god. But yeah, obviously you teach it. Like, are there some, I suppose, to take it in a bit of a different direction from what I've been talking about, are there some things that shock you at all, like when you teach, like that come across as, oh, why are people learning this way, or like things that are holding people back that they don't even realize?
Nothing shocks me anymore in that regard. Well, like I've had to learn a lot of humility, dare I say it. I mean, whether people believe that or not, it's up to them, but I've had to learn a lot of humility and compassion for all my students. There are things that bug me a little bit. Mm-hmm. For example, if a student comes to me and say, I want to learn, and I basically have a conversation and say, right, in order to learn, some things need to change. And every student is like, yeah. Then actually, these things don't change. Mm. The more and more a student who comes to see me does that starts to grate on me a little bit, because, and this is kind of nobody's fault at the same time, because if someone's coming to me and they're having fun, then that's the job done. Yeah. Really, the rest is kind of none of my business. I'm there to show a bunch of information to some people, and what they then do with that after me is up to them. And I'll encourage, because I just want to see people go where I think they should go. Which is a little bit arrogant, because people should go where they want to go with this hobby, because it's their hobby. It's not my hobby. You know, my hobby's my hobby. But but that's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
You know, but when somebody approaches someone like me for a painting lesson, and then they don't use that information, I find that strange, and that's got to be understandable.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be understandable. But some people just, it's that method is good enough for them. The experience as it stands is enough of an experience that they feel like they've had a good time, and that's great. Is there anything that shocks me? No, I don't think so. I could say, because the conversation comes out of me a lot, I've already said it here, but the amount of dogma and product-based solutions out there that are presented as the only solutions that you must have, that kind of drives me nuts, because it's like seeing the Matrix in it. Like when you see things for what they are, wet palettes are one I've gone on about quite a lot, and I'll have people disagree with me, this, that, and the other. But there's a certain factual algorithm that wet palettes follow, and when you understand, for example, tray, water, foam, some kind of paper, capillary action, paint on the top, water gets fed up through capillary action into the paint, keeping it diluted to whatever degree. And then the last bit is evaporation. So all those aspects are there as a matter of fact, not my opinion. They are all happening. But the thing is, like, that rate of dilution, how do you control that in the moment? Like, how much control do you have? Scale of 1 to 100%. How much control do you have of that rate of dilution in the moment? Oh, I could turn the aircon down. But how much control do you have? Put a number on it. Anyone? No. It's zero.
Because you can't argue with science of it, can you?
Are you? So is this, if I'm to interpret this correctly, are you coming out as anti-wet palette? Or
I'm not anti-wet palette. I am pro seeing the facts.
Oh, very good.
Right? See the facts and then make an educated decision. Right? So if one of the biggest mysteries and biggest struggles that painters have on the internet is how to control consistency, why would you choose a tool that allows you 0% control?
Yeah.
Right? But
Might just have to go and have a lie down, Tom.
Right? But that's not my opinion about the wet palette. Now, there is, you could put less water in, choose a different sponge, choose a different paper, and learn to use the tool. But once that tool is set, there's no in the moment control. And generally what you might end up doing is you might end up taking the paint you've got being saved on a wet palette and move it to a dry palette to manage in a more deliberate way, like your thumb, which Liam Hearn experienced on one of my courses one time, because he was pro wet palette. Said no, and then he realised that actually his thumb was a dry palette, and that's what he was doing every time. So the point is he now uses his wet palette in a more deliberate way. I'm not sure if he still uses one or not. But then I can hear a bunch of people, oh yeah, but I live in the sun and I need a wet palette. Well, it's been 40 degrees in Manchester the last few years. I still paint. I kind of troll sometimes a little bit on my Instagram and I go, it's sun shining, time to get the dry palette out and go and do some painting. But as much as that's a little bit of a arrogant trolley thing, the point is what skills have I learned that enable me to paint in all temperatures? Because I'm not special. I've just learned a skill set. And how I've learned that skill set is what I pass on. Because so you can imagine now what kind of tiny ass skills do I have that enable me to manage paint and water on a black palette, a warm palette. Like, what do I know about consistency and how to manage paint that enable me to paint as well as I paint? As a matter of fact, like what do I know and what have I developed? And if I'd have used a wet palette, what skills would I have not learned? Do you see what I mean? There's just a fact to it. It's not my opinion, and that's kind of how I teach. What people think and what people do outside of fact is up to them as artists and people, individuals, and blah blah blah. And this is what excites me as a painter. So I like skills, like personal skills. That's what I like. If there's a tool that does the job, I'll consider it. Like, do I want a Ferrari for going fast, or do I want to be a good runner? Well, I want a Ferrari. Yeah, but somebody who wants to be the fastest man on the planet using his legs is going to train his legs. He's not going to train his trainers. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
He's going to, he's going to train his legs. And I bet he's still fast regardless of what shoes he wears. It's because he trained himself. So that's how I look at it, And that's not to say, let's use a different example. That's not to say I'm going to use a shit brush. I actually want the best brush, because there are some things I don't skimp on. But again, what's the best brush? Is it the brush YouTube told me to choose, or is it the brush that I am educated on? I look and I go, is this a good brush? Let's try it. And I will choose a good brush. I will go to Element Games, get the brushes, take the things off, cup of water, and I will choose my brush.
Yeah.
Just because somebody said Element Games are the best brushes.
I like Artisopus.
I won't just have them. No. Element Games, I'm saying it right here, right now. That's the ones I use, yeah.
Oh, you mean the actual Element
I use
branded?
Element Games, yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wicked character and regiment. You don't really need much more. Like, I've got some with me. I hope. I think I packed them.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Great brushes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
I have a link on my Instagram.
Yeah.
But you're right though. It's like, you know, people talk about tools, and like I spent a lot of time in the early years. What's the best? Now I've wrote a lot of articles. What's the best this? And the preface to every article that nobody reads is there is no such thing as the best.
No.
There's only ever what's the best for you. And you unfortunately, like, if you want the best brushes, you've got to try a variety and practice.
Yeah,
with
you
them.
have.
So, like, I know you were a big fan of the Broken Toad for a while.
Massive fan of
until
Broken
they
Toad.
disappeared.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. Very different experience using a Broken Toad brush, though. Like, more so than any other brush on the market. And they can kind of take you by surprise. I've got my last 2 sets. They're kind of hermetically sealed for the time I actually decide to push me skills again.
Yeah.
Which might ever be never. But I mean, I am enjoying the Element Games ones a lot at the moment.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because we've done some videos that are product based, and I think at the start of it was sort of like, you know, a lot of hobbyists said on the lookout for a product that will like improve their painting, you know,
Flow improver, drying retarder,
that kind of thing.
All water to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was some really like funny stuff that we did, like, you know, certain kind of drills. There was a splatter tool, which was like 4 toothbrushes attached to, like, you know, welded together. And you often, like, I think they're quite YouTubey type products, like Streaking Grime was a big one. And it's great if it's a certain look that you want to go for, but you still, I guess, have to learn how to use it and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Here's the thing, you know, like, if you're having fun using whatever it is you're using, then you're doing it right. Like, whatever I've got to say is bollocks. but it's true, isn't it? Because it's a hobby. It's not Tommy rules the fucking world or whoever painter. Do you know what I mean? It really isn't, you know. But I do see people buying all this shit. They come to me for lessons, or they're on the internet and still not getting anywhere, and they're still unhappy. Well, you need to look at yourself and look at your skills and look at how you manage. I'll spell it out here. How do you manage your consistency? How do you manage your loading of your brush? And how do you apply it to your model? You improve any of them 3 things, I guarantee your results will improve.
Yeah.
You improve all them 3 things, I guarantee your results will improve drastically.
Yeah.
You continue to improve only them 3 things, and you can do whatever the fuck you want with a brush. That's that. Why? Because that's all I do.
Yeah.
So that's just a fact. That's just if I can do it, and I'm just some kid from Manchester, you know, then anyone can do it, because it is as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know, but it doesn't make it easy. So I liken it to a tightrope walk. Tightrope walk is left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, all the way. Easy. No, it's not.
Yeah.
You know, it's simple
very good
is what
point.
it is. You know, but here's the interesting thing. If you're excited about the result, then why not just climb down and climb up the other side and stand there, da-da, well, what a shit show. Yeah, what a shit performance. So we come back to do you want to be the audience member? Do you want to be the performer? Well, you need to be both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have
You
to put
want
on
to
a
wow
show.
the audience.
Yeah.
You have to learn that tightrope walk. You know, you have to learn it if you want to wow an audience. Some people will wow an audience with results. You know, that maybe they got out of a can or an airbrush or whatever it may or may not be. Yeah, and if they had fun with that and an audience is wild and they make some money or they get some applause or likes or whatever it is, then job done.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to walk the tightrope. I want to do a flip halfway. I want to pretend to fall off and shit everyone up.
Yeah.
Shit me up a little bit. Because that's the journey, isn't it? What an exciting journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so as much as a tightrope walk is simple, it's not easy, you know, but that excites me.
Yeah.
That excites me. It excites me to do it. It excites me to watch. So painting miniatures as much as you might think it's linear, you now imagine watching that tightrope walker go from A to B and not do anything. Just got to the other side. You go, all right, yeah, I got to the other side. Yeah. And then you see the guy who pretends to fall off, the guy who actually does fall off, and what an exciting show. The process is well better.
Yeah.
Process is well better.
And also, I suppose to some degree, is you want to be able to walk that tightrope, pretend to fall off.
Yeah.
And other tightrope walkers go, the way he pretended to fall off there by 10 and that foot of that.
Yeah. So this is what good paint judge will be able to see all that.
Yeah.
Like, so when you have these skills in place, these 3 skills, it's like kind of your eye becomes like an automatic Haynes manual, if you know what a Haynes manual is. So all of a sudden you look at a paint job, it just goes exploded diagram and back in an instant, and you can just see it. So like if you're at a painting competition and you think Judge hasn't looked at your model, he probably has. He's probably seen all he needs from afar. And if you were to have a one-to-one painting lesson with me, you'll have an experience like that. Like, I'll be in the kitchen brewing up, and like, you've put too much water on your brush. You're like, how the fuck does he know from me? Yeah, because I can tell by your posture.
Yeah.
And you ask any of my students this, and I did it this week. I was like, yeah, I'm stepping away. So I'm over my student. I don't know what the levels are like. I'm over my student.
We'll figure it out.
I walk by, and I spot him, and I go, right, you need to do 2 brush strokes on your palette, because you've got a flat tip on your brush. And he's trying to paint a line about 1/4 mil wide.
Yeah.
He's got a flat end on his brush, which he can't have. He needs to have a sharp end on his brush. And he's got it overloaded. Well, how can I tell from up there?
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of things that tell me, whether it be posture, whether it be just the way the brush looks. And my eye is really well developed now, because your eyes will get better, by the way, for all those who have eye issues. I've just realised I'm surrounded by everyone wearing glasses.
Yeah.
But your eyes can improve. I had one student, my eyes just went bzzz one day, and all of a sudden I could see it all. And I was like, bingo. Sorry, dog. I'm not going to get you then. Right, but the point is because your eyes are made of muscles, aren't they?
Yeah.
The muscles need exercising. And it's increment, it's increment-based improvement, but their muscles are going to get stronger as they use. So when I don't paint for a little bit, I'll go, but then the more I paint at whatever level, I can start to get closer, because my eyes become stronger and more accustomed. And when I do that too much, I look up and I'm like, everything's fuzzy. Yeah. And I'll look at the church in the distance out of my window, so I'd stretch my eyes in the opposite direction, so I'd exercise my eyes. Yeah. Blah, 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 loads of things. I told you I could talk.
Man, already I think I've found also 12 things.
I'm really interested by the Haynes Manual X-ray vision. So, Ross, I've got those blue and yellow dudes.
Oh, can you... Money where my mouth is.
Just pick one up.
Just one?
Yeah. Good idea. And then, Tommy, could you destroy it live on camera for me?
Haynes Manual that.
Yeah. So we've got a base coat, yellow, airbrush.
Yeah.
Sponge. We've got looks like maybe a dry brush there, but I'm going to guess still sponge because there's a repeated pattern in there. Yeah. The bit. Have you... See, there's some things here you've masked, but they're not masked.
Yeah, so some of the masking, I did it with putty. And then as I peeled it off, I was like, oh, I didn't line that up perfectly, so I tried to cover it with battle damage.
Gone back in with a brush, and is that enough?
You can go to town on it. So how might I improve it, or I guess it's how would I want to improve it, or
right. Kind of so here's the thing. To me, you're going for an army standard level of painting. You're going for what some people might call fast, fun, and furious. If you worked in Games Workshop retail at any point, right? You want maximum bang for your buck and minimal effort. That's what you want, and that's apparent by the tools you've chosen. Yeah. Now, what this is unfinished.
Yes, it is unfinished.
So judging this, as far as improving it goes, is pointless.
Fair.
Because it's not finished. The moment this is finished, I would guess you actually will get excited about it enough to call it finished. Therefore, it requires no more improvement. Yeah. Yeah. So that's one way of looking at it. Yeah. Before any painter, I'm going to say this to all the cameras, Like, before you judge the quality of your work, finish the model to your level.
Yeah.
If you are not happy with it when it's finished, then it's not finished.
Yeah.
It's not a failed model, and you're not a shit painter. You've just got areas to develop,
Yeah.
whether they be on the model
Yeah.
or in your own skill set.
Yeah.
And that's that. And that's all that's the fact.
Yeah.
You're not a shit painter. Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's got to be true.
Yeah.
I quite have a little bit of a cry.
Oh, mate. But it's got to be true, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That has to be
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That
If
might
it-
be your thumbnail as well. You're not a shit painter.
No, I think the title for this chat, the clickbait title, it would be like "Wet palettes are rubbish."
I've already used that one. I have a little YouTube channel that I haven't really updated in about 3 or 4 years, but I did a wet palette. I did 2, maybe 3 wet palette videos.
Yeah.
I might not have done the third, but I'm not that motivated for all that
Yeah.
Yeah.
fame and fortune.
You do
anymore.
quite a lot of Instagram lives though, don't you? Just talking through your process and
Yeah, every now and again. I
Yeah.
used to do it more often. I'm just less motivated now. I'm happy with the
Yeah.
students I've got, and if new students come in, I'm happy to welcome them in and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. But for me now, the hobby is about enjoying it, and that is
Yeah.
that. If I'm not in a mood to do it, then I won't do it. I won't do it for money. I won't do it for likes. I won't do it for anything. That's why all them models there are all in that book or before, and that was 2 years ago. I don't give a shit. I don't, because it's a
Yeah.
hobby.
Yeah.
It's not my job anymore. I don't have to please a boss. I don't have to please a commissioner. I don't have to do any of that because it's my hobby, and I protect that now.
Yeah.
And I love it. I
I talk?
actively love it. You
I
can talk.
Thank you. So, can I talk? No, right, go.
not often we get people talking over Jeff.
No, yeah. No, can I talk a little bit about this whole of becoming a tutor? How did that start, and then ultimately where are you at with that
Okay.
right now? How did that all become a thing?
So, I work for Games Workshop Retail a lot in Manchester. And I've done other bits and bobs kind of like as favours and little passion projects within Games Workshop here and there. Maybe some people know, maybe some people don't, whatever. But when you're a retail staff member, you have to teach.
Yeah.
End story. So, when people see me work, because I've been painting pretty well for a long time, and my style has generally matched the style to some degree in standard, the heavy metal style, which has changed over the last 24 years alone. So when people see me work, whether it be staff or customers, then generally they'll want a painting lesson from me. If it's Saturday events in a store, then who's going to be running the painting table? It's going to be me. Games Workshop Manchester, probably one of the busiest stores in the business outside of head office. So I was teaching 10 to 15 people a week, just at one table in one day in one session, maybe even 2 or 3 sessions actually. So I get to teach a lot of people. I've taught a mad amount of people. I couldn't even put a number on it. Might be 4 figures, might be thousands of people for all I know, And then as time went on, I got better and better, and the hobby started to become a little bit more prolific through things like Cool Mini or Not.
Yeah,
I remember that.
The amount of hours when I should have been working, when I had a regular desk job, where I was just in Cool Mini or Not going, oh, that's a 7.
Yeah,
That's going to be an 8.
Yeah, did all that without a doubt. And anyway, I start sharing more in my processing words there because people ask, don't they? They ask and they want to know. So okay, I'll share. But also, you get varying degrees of people asking questions face to face within a store.
Yeah.
And then one guy actually said one time, Phil, my first student, who I love, and I hope he's okay. I've not seen him in quite a while. So yeah, Phil, I hope you're okay, wherever you are. He asked if he could pay me for private lessons. So he became my first private student in around 2009, 2010, something like that. And then that was when I went freelance as a commission painter and box art painter for however many companies. And I offered, to my knowledge, I was one of the first people to start running painting courses, freelance. We did what was called Demon Days. So we had the first Demon Day had a couple of heavy metal painters on. I think Phil Dunn was on. I can't quite remember. Heavy metal painters and Golden Demon winners. And we basically got everyone in a room and gone, right, here's a bunch of awesome people and a bunch of people who want to be awesome or feel they want to be awesome because they already are, you know. But you know what I mean, right? And let's help. And then the second Demon Day was me, Mike McVeigh, Ali McVeigh, and was that it? Yeah, that was it. And then we basically did I did non-Mets for 2 hours with one group. Then they rotate around and go to Ali, do painting flesh and faces. Then they go to Mike McVeigh and then they do wet blending, or two-brush blending, should I say. And then, yeah, blah, blah, blah. So we ran a bunch of events. And then I started running my own events, which is the fundamentals events, followed by the non-Mets events, which, I mean, yeah, Byron came on one. This is years ago, like when you just started Element. Byron from Element came on one, Martin Waller, Damien Pedley, heavy metal painter, and a bunch of people. I'm name dropping it. I kind of don't normally do that, but I feel comfortable enough for a change.
That's
you know, but the point is, you know, I got to teach a range of people of all levels, people that are better than me, people that weren't better than me, and I did it in such a way to bring value to those people, which is part of why that book is written at all levels of painter. It's not a beginner book. It's a fundamentals book. It's different. So, yeah, I just got to teach, and you know, the more I painted, the more students I attracted, and the more box art I did, and blah blah blah. And you know, I never even entered a Golden Demon seriously. I had entered once in like 2011, something like that, as a laugh, because Alfonso Heraldez, I gave him a lift to Golden Demon one year, and he was in the car chewing my ear off like, I should enter. I'm like, I don't have to enter. He's like, yeah, you should. You've got to support it. And I kind of agree with him about supporting painting competitions, but nobody has to have a Golden Demon or anything to be successful in this hobby. Take it from me. Take it from me. Like, you need a good reputation and good work.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that good work can be at any standard. Base coat, dry brush wash, blah, blah, blah. And I'm getting aside here. So loads of students, loads of teaching experience, loads of different ways of breaking it down into understandable and manageable bites of information. And then what I started to do was I started to see a pattern, regardless of what level of painter I was teaching. I was like, hang on a minute, I'm teaching the same information. I'm not doing a beginner lesson for a beginner and an expert lesson for an expert. It's the same lesson. I'm like, oh, how's that? So I started to write everything down, every lesson, recording it. I was like, right, where's the pattern? And I'm looking like a mad scientist. I had all these notes, and it clicked with me one day. I wrote my fundamentals course, which is what I started teaching, part 1 and part 2 over weekends. Fundamentals being part 1 is how to actually do the shit that counts. And then part 2 would be non-Mets, which really wasn't non-Mets, but I use non-Mets as the excuse. It's about how do you use day 1's information in a higher standard.
Yeah.
So day 2 isn't advanced techniques, it's how do you use the fundamental techniques in more advanced ways. Big difference.
Yeah.
Because you're not looking for anything new, you're looking to improve the way the tightrope walker places his foot, because a beginner will be about it. Can't say that anymore, can you?
No,
Too late.
I can beep it out.
But do you see what I mean? It's the same feet, it's just how well you place them feet. So yeah, I changed my name to Miniature Painting Tutor however long ago, because I'm no longer part of a bigger studio, because I was part of a bigger business back then, like the Siege before Siege, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a story in itself. Like, without that is a roller coaster part of my life. Like, holy shit, it was awful. Man, I nearly died at the end of it. Fucking hell.
Oh, right.
Oh, wow.
Guts removed, everything. Don't see me scars. Horrible. Everything. Yeah, right, man. It was.
That's massive.
Yeah, thank you.
The scar.
Would you like a closer look?
In a bit. We'll do that for the patrons in the after
It literally does
show.
go all the way. It's like
Oh, bless
full on,
you.
like 9-inch. Yeah, I got fillet
God.
and everything. And that gave me a new point of view on life and painting and hobby and work. I can tell you that.
About us.
Yeah, without a doubt. So I hope that answers your question. But I've got some great people who come and learn from me.
So, for people who would be interested in coming and learning from you, how often do you do seminars? Do you travel, or do people come to you, or do you go to different areas around the country?
So I haven't run a course in ages. Like that fire to do that. Even though I'm having this conversation now, it gets me all giddy. Like that fire to do that kind of isn't in me at the moment. But if somebody said, right, I want you to run a course, will you be here at this time? And, you know, we'll pay you what you need, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to say no, I don't think, because I love doing it. Yeah. It's as simple as that. I love doing it. And I'll travel anywhere, you know, because I've travelled the country and travelled parts of the world at the request of people, because it's top. Why would I not want to? Like,
so our miniatures is your hobby still keeping the wolf from the door at the moment? Is this still are miniatures still your day job if you aren't doing seminars that much?
To a degree. Like, I made myself a promise this year to be a professional musician. Oh, so you know, miniatures contribute to some degree. Yeah. Benefits contribute to another degree, because I'm not rich at all. I'm just a guy who gets by month to month. Yeah. You know, and maybe being a musician will help add to that. Maybe this podcast will help add to that as well. I'm sure it will, because all this stuff does. And there we go. I hope that answers your question. It does answer my question. You know, it helps. But if it wasn't there, I'd still be doing it, because the love is, it's not the trinkets. It's painting goblins, isn't it? You know, like bringing something to life. Bring something to life, man.
Yeah. The more I've painted, the more I enjoy the process. Like, I've been sort of on a bit of an airbrushing quest recently, and I tried it a bit before and didn't do amazingly well, but then got some tuition from a guy from Harder and Steenbeck, and he was like, consistency, thin your paints this way, these distances, and then having that.
Because he taught you the fist thing to them. Hey, you don't have Germans.
Yeah, check this out.
Germans like, but he taught you about distance of fist from model and stuff. Like that,
and from what you're talking about earlier, like having that framework in there, and then now I can confidently base coat something or put a highlight on something with an airbrush or what have you. And I've been having a blast. I've been really enjoying it.
That's like a pun.
Having a blast. Love it.
Do you still surprise yourself?
In what way?
Do you still find you try something you've not tried before, or do something and you go, oh, well, it didn't, and then go, oh God, that really worked? Do you still have these moments where a little bit of experimentation just becomes something that you go, oh, do you know what? I'm now going to add that to my
because
list of things to do.
Yeah, my painting repertoire is filled with holes. Like, there's things I'm not good at all. You know,
do you want to confess any?
Yeah, absolutely. Like my base game. Like, if I would love to make more bases. Like the Miniature Monthly, I think they've got a couple of articles on making bases. So that book's next on my list, probably for buying. You know, and there's other guides in the other books as well that I'm sure are going to be useful, but I'm just not that familiar with them all just yet. But the point is like my base game, I would say, is weak. You know,
I would say it's subtle.
Oh, thank you. I mean, but in some areas, my base game is strong, but it's strong within my ballpark, in my way, to my taste. Yeah. So I use what tools I've got to maximum ability. But that doesn't mean that I'm a great base maker. Yeah. You know, but when it comes to wielding a brush, this time I think maybe I could be more adventurous with certain things, but I do things to a level that makes me happy. And then when I'm happy, well, I'm happy. Yeah. I don't need to do any more. You know, so you might say I've not really flexed that much. Dare I say that?
Well, there's a lot of flexing going on from my way.
Do you know what? Two that stick out, if I'm gonna show off a little bit, I'd say these two. One, because that is just paint on flat plastic. And that because that is just a base sanded flat, and then
you're joking.
Yeah.
Oh my giddy aunt, I thought that was a piece of plastic art, and then you'd
no, that's what this one is. That guy, piece of plastic art plumped on and carved But that is just a base.
And Tommy, that's ridiculous.
I think we could spend the rest of the podcast just going.
I'll
Just slap
like
George
this-
Jeff as he just stares.
all of a sudden, this has become ASMR.
Yeah, I'll narrate it for our audio only listeners.
Do you want one passing over?
I'll take a look afterwards. Yeah.
How would it sound if I just rub the bass against the microphone? Like,
Well, I go.
They're ogling.
Yeah.
Jeff and Ross are ogling bases at the moment.
today in the
to say
Painted
that's
Phase
just a-
studio.
Yeah.
To say that's just a, what is that, 32mm base,
Yeah.
sanded down, and then,
Paint it up and.
yeah, that's my mind. It's ridiculous when I've already looked at that miniature and gone, Gideon, that's stunning. And then didn't give the base enough of a look, and now I'm looking at the base, and now I'm just as impressed by the base as I am by all the rest of the miniatures.
Well, you said it. You said my base game is subtle.
And it
I'll,
is
I'll
subtle.
agree.
Yeah.
It is subtle, but when you look,
But
'cause
subtle
there's-
subtle doesn't mean bad, does it?
No, not at
It's
all,
really
no.
not. No,
Not
I
at
think,
all.
yeah. Because like the bases on the ones that are the miniatures from Blackstone Fortress, the way they're
those
almost
guys.
like a quartz sort of thing going.
I think you
Same thing
wrote
again,
a
innit?
tutorial on them, didn't you, or something? You might have done a video or
I
something.
did
on
a
there.
video on my Nighthaunt bases, which
Oh,
are
okay.
kind of like that, but
Yeah.
without the rust peel and all that business. But like when you look at, say, Gut Rot Spume by David Soper, and you look at that base,
Oh, that's
which obviously I
that's
don't know if
more
you
than
put a
mini,
picture
isn't
on.
it?
In fact, say that.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of like that.
Yeah, it
Like,
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do things like that, and there's a couple of reasons. One is motivation. I like all my works to be pretty compact and simple. But the other thing is I haven't played in that ballpark enough to say that, do you know what, I'm going to make a base and I'm going to be really confident with it, blah, blah, blah. There is a couple of things where, I mean, I'm just looking at my fist on over there. That's a pretty complex base,
Yeah.
on the screen.
Bit more diorama-y than better.
Yeah,
we talked about this the other week because, like, after we come back from Adepticon, and then there was a couple of 3 weeks later we did a show about it. But we were talking about like the models that are entered into Demon, and like you get the things for like single miniature, but it's not really single miniature anymore. They're more of a diorama and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas I personally prefer my single minis to be like Ragnar was,
Which is a
single
thing
mini.
we will dig down deeper into, is because literally the next, if I spoiler it a little bit, the next episode of speaking with a painter will be Neil Hollis.
Yeah, wicked.
And obviously Neil is a painter who very much lives in the large dramatic base, and you know, and for better and for worse, it has come. It's this thing about bases and the setup of miniatures in competition has come up of late, and I think it's quite interesting, the whole element of how much of a miniature is the miniature and how much of a miniature is the base. So I think it is something that really divides people, I think, at the moment with regards to.
Yeah, but I'll give you my 2 cents on that if
Please do.
well, it's tuppence, isn't it? I'll show you my
Yeah.
tuppence with all this business. Right, so-
Again, we're going to bleep that out.
you might need to fuzz this and all. But I think the people that get bent out of shape are the people that feel somehow they've been wronged by a guy doing his hobby in a way that makes him happy.
Well, that's a good take.
Yeah.
But how is it not that?
Yeah.
Like it says, Neil's, and any artist is doing the hobby in the way that make them happy, and that happy might be aimed at making a judge happy or winning a trophy or whatever it might be to promote your business or a painting course or whatever it might be. It might just be because you want to do what you want to do. But we do what kind of hits our own personal objectives, and I think people should be free to do that. Now, what category should that go in a painting competition? That's down to the judges.
Yeah.
The initial painter might say, I'd like it in this category, but a judge will say yes or no. That's down to the judges. So it's none of our business. We might go, well, the judges should do it my way, but the judges do it their way.
Yeah.
And that's that.
And
Because
there has to be a base level, doesn't it?
end of story. If whoever thought they knew best on the internet did know best, then they'd be the judge. But you're not the judge. And there's not enough room for all them people doing that. So there you go. There's just the facts. I think people should just be allowed to do the hobby and celebrate it as you will. Oh, yeah, but this isn't fair, that isn't fair. Well, everyone has the same opportunity as whatever painter entering whatever competition. That, you know, well, this year it wasn't in this way because that guy, you know, he had his tail went out too far and his banner was too high and fuck off. if that's going to keep, if that information fuels your hobby towards you being happy and productive in your hobby towards your own goals, which I don't think it does, then go for it. You know, like people can do with the information what they want to do, and that I think that's the big thing that about me that I think has changed in the last few years. I believe in freedom. Let people do what they want to do, and they'll reap whatever reward or the opposite as the world sees fit. You know, and that does also include people bitching and moaning. They're free to do that because, you know, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
You know, but...
Miniature painting karma will get you.
well,
it would be that either way.
Yeah.
Well, there's that great expression, isn't it? Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. You're just not entitled to your own facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not in... Yeah, but... Well, you kind of are if you're searching for them.
Yeah.
Because then you can start to craft your life as you see fit.
Yeah.
You know, whether that be through diet, miniature painting, playing guitar, philosophical, deep and meaningfuls, like you can chew the cud, this, that, and the other. But, you know, we paint toy soldiers. Some people make money out of it to whatever degree. Some people don't. But either way, we all love miniature painting.
Yeah.
And that's that. Even people that don't paint miniatures put painted plastic on the table. Don't tell me that you're not interested in having them painted. You want them painted, but you're just not for some reason. You're either not because you're not paying someone or you're not because you're not doing it. But whatever reason's underlying. But if it wasn't about the imagery, you'd be using counters.
Yeah. Yeah.
The imagery is not grey. It can be grey. Some comics are grey. Some Warhammer TV is grey.
In like black and white.
It's
stuff,
all great, but don't tell me you don't have an image in your head.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you're not imagining you want it painted.
Yeah.
You know, and it's okay to not, but you want it painted.
Wow.
But you do though, don't you?
Yeah,
Tell me you don't.
No.
Tell me you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might not want to do
can't.
it, but your imagination wants it.
Yeah.
You want it
Yeah.
because it's there in the shape of a goblin.
Oh, you know, I think that might be the 2 years we've been doing this show. I think that must be the most profound thing I think I've ever said on it so far.
Oh my God,
Oh.
it's blown my mind.
I mean, I don't know. I hope it. Do you know? I just want to encourage people now. Go live your life in toy soldiers
Yeah.
or not. It's beautiful. Either
How
way.
did your relationship with Dave come about with regards to the book?
And how do we get a book?
How do you ask Dave is the answer. How do I get? I don't even get all them.
I've already earmarked my volume 189.
The art,
That's when I think I'll be about ready.
Should we talk about these as well?
Yeah, that's
I
exactly
think
what I
it's a
want to
good
lead
idea.
into. So how
Okay.
you know, if we talk about
Let's
how
talk about
you got to it, and then we'll talk about the art of as a thing.
All right. So, weird thing about me and Dave is I was inspired by Dave through American and Australian versions of White Dwarf, which were different to UK White Dwarfs.
Because Dave's been a very prolific and interesting army builder himself, hasn't he?
Yeah, and more so if you're involved in those other regional White Dwarfs.
Yeah.
And they ran at the same time as the British and European White Dwarf, but the team was different, so therefore the content was
So
different.
you
And
think
Dave,
of things like Black Gobbo and things like that from the Americans. Yeah.
So it was really exciting material, like the General's Compendium, the thicker one.
Yeah.
That was it called the General's Compendium? Yeah. And the Warhammer Skirmish booklet. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
All that team essentially.
Yeah.
So Dave was part of all that, and he's a massive army converter, army
he
builder,
is, yeah.
army painter.
I remember his Kislev's all riding bears.
Oh, what an army, man. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So Dave is that guy, essentially. And for whatever reasons, he ended up leaving and he started his own publishing company. And he got in contact with me. I can't remember whether somebody recommended me, but I was kind of undercover at the time. I'm not really that. And I'm still kind of not that prolific a painter, I would say, industry-wise. I just kind of, like I said, do what I do. and he asked me if I'd like to write a book, and I said pretty much that to him. I said, look, I don't really paint that much anymore. I just teach my students, and I might produce something every now and again, or I might get infused by an army for a few months and paint that like I did with my Skaven. But I do have this information that I like to share, that it's been in my head, which is, I feel like I should write a book on how to teach people how to paint, you know. And he was like, right, okay, I'm up for that, because the books can be whatever you want them to be. And so I said, well, what I'd like to do first is I'd like to give you a few lessons so you know what it is and how it is that I'm going to do this. And I want you to say yeah because you know, not because you just blindly going to let me fuck with your shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, two lessons. It was like, yeah, let's go. So I wrote the book, which is my first book writing ever. Like, I didn't really go to school or anything like that. So I did my best, you know. So I've had to learn how a book is written and published. I had to teach myself every bit. Blah, blah, blah. I was already pretty handy with a phone camera, so the photography all went
Which again
well.
stuns me, that the amazingly lovely photographs that are in the book, which I'm sure Pat will have edited some into the show for the viewers to see.
Thank you, Pat.
It's ridiculous to think that they're photographed on a phone. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I was to point out some of the telltale signs, then I'm sure you go, oh yeah, there that is, you know. But whatever, it's all I had. It's all I had. That, like, I had a PC that has, I don't think I could hold a half an hour's worth of video on the PC because the memory is that small on it, and that's with nothing on the computer.
Oh, right,
it's a computer built for function and not storage.
Yeah.
So I did my best to write this book with mobile phone and a little ass PC, like, because I am not technically minded at all. Like this stuff here, this 3D printing,
Well,
that's
I was
exciting
going to
and
say that's a
interesting.
3D printer, not a computer. So already,
Well, if we give you a little behind the scenes, we've got a 3D printer, but we're not technically minded enough for it, and that's why we're one of the reasons that.
that's the only reason I'm here.
Well, I'd love to learn. I think it's time I got up to date. So I recently, I was generously given a new PC recently by a student, and I mean, blew my mind, the generosity that some people show. So now I have a PC powerful enough, but now the only thing I've done is turned it on, and I don't even know what to do with it now. You know, so you know, I'd like to learn music, this, that, and the other, blah 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 blah. But Dave, we're talking about
Please,
Dave, not Tommy,
yes. No.
right?
No.
So Dave, so I had this experience with Dave where basically he took me through how to write and publish a book, and I submitted it to him in chunks, this, that, and the other, blah blah blah. Part of me wish I hadn't done. I wish I had like really done the full it and then give it him at the end. But he needed reassurance that I was gonna hit whatever deadline, which freaked me out big time. But other than that, the only other interaction I've had with Dave, other than he's been a massive support to me because he knew I was a bit of a head case at the time as well, and he was like, right, okay, I know you might be going through a few things. Do you know the heavier metal painting group, or what was the heavier metal before?
It got hacked, didn't it,
It's
sadly?
such a shame.
Yeah, I was a member of that for quite a while.
There's a few guys on there that do a thing called Poppy's Angels, which is awareness and support for children with cancer, essentially. So I painted a Reaver Titan, which was donated to me for that cause. I painted a Reaver Titan for someone to win.
Yeah.
And Dave won it, and I did not know it was Dave. And when we were having the conversation, because this thing had to get posted out to the States where everyone was, which cost an arm and a leg, which we somehow wangled through some businesses' expenses without them knowing. Thank you, Kelly, by the way. Dave popped up and I said, I painted a Reaver Titan. I'd like that to go in the book, and it's in the book.
Yeah.
And Dave goes, I own that Titan, you know. I'm like, no way. So like, because that's of all the models I've never painted for myself, that Reaver Titan is one, and I painted that as if it was my own, you know. And to know that it's there and that somebody I like and respect and is involved with me in some way actually has it, it's made me giddy. So that's my experience with Dave. Inspiration, won a Titan, wrote a book with him. There you go. That's what I know about Dave, and he's a
The winning a Titan bit was not what the bit I was expecting to be. That's
no. Do you know, let's have a look at it, because it's easy to find. It should be at the back.
He's got it.
Is that it?
Have you got it? Oh, look at that.
Wait, I'll see if I can
What? Oh, yeah.
cut to myself. Yay! I'll put a picture up with less reflections on the screen.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
That is where I put this back and.
But these are.
Anyway,
if we talk a little bit of these on,
Yeah,
it
please.
was Dave, because it was Dave that very kindly pulled the strings and asked
Yeah.
if we could get you on the show. But these 9 of them so far, and they're things of absolute beauty. We've got a whole range of artists who've been asked to do them, and a whole range of different styles of artists as well. You have lots of different people with lots of different ideas of what they consider miniature painting to be. Yours, interestingly, I think, is the one that I consider to be. It's the one that is most the painter's manual of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them are theory and understanding how people got on their journey of how they paint and their style of painting and all the rest of it. But yours is the one that sort of goes, let's break it down and let's really show you from the ground up. Lots of them do it, but not quite as to the extreme that yours does.
No, well, but there's 2 reasons for that. One, I'm passionate about that.
Yes.
2, that's all I had to give. You know? Because like this collection of miniatures here won't fill one of them books. Because that's see what I mean? Like the last few years for me have not been that prolific, you know, because of whatever, you know. And I painted this model purely for the book, you know. That's the figurehead of the book, I would say. But like, there's value to be added in the work of all these guys. Like you said,
absolutely. And the Kickstarter for the next 3 goes live. What would be for us this Friday? It'll probably be
this Friday.
Yeah, probably be live by the time you see this show.
Yeah.
But and that's got more amazing artists involved in it, especially one of my favourites being Sam Lenz is involved in that.
Yeah.
So they're going to go up on there'll be a link in the show for the Kickstarter for them as well.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. But they are beautiful things to own, but they are all in their own little way in different ways quite inspiring books.
Yeah. So I wrote the foreword for Christoph Kiel's book.
Right.
And that was a funny experience, actually, because that was my first working experience with Dave. So Christoph asked me to write the foreword, so I'm not going to write a foreword for a book I haven't read. I'm not going to do it. And like, yeah, but just write as a foreword anyway. You know Christoph, because he was one of my students.
Oh, right.
So, yeah.
One of your students, and now he's...
I tell you what, there's more names in this industry that have signed my living room and had a lesson from me that you might be surprised at. I don't know whether I should name drop sometimes, you know, but there's people who have shared me teachings here, then it sticks out like a sore thumb to my ears, because I use a very particular language in a very particular way, and I know nobody else uses it. Yeah, do you want to say it again? Right. A very particular way for very particular reasons, and I hear that echoed with certain people, and when I find out who it is, it generally turns out they're my students and not anyone else, you know. It keeps coming back to me. I'm trying to talk about these guys here, you know. I'm trying, but where was I going with that? Check him out every time. Leave it off. It's all right. Yeah, let's shine his head a little bit, because he's got a nicely painted head as well. He's going under a hat.
As I was saying earlier, it's the eyes that if there's any chance you can get a photo of that up, the orc pirate, like the eyes just literally look into your soul.
It's good fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm distracting you.
Yeah. Go on, Max.
Yeah. So we're talking about how Christoph had got involved.
Oh yeah. So I'm not going to write a foreword for a book I've not read. So they sent me the PDFs of it while it was still kind of work in progress, and I read the book, and it was most enjoyable, because like as an artist, regardless of my style is very cartoony, very clean. Should I wish it to be, I can always change it. Blah blah blah. Christoph is the opposite of me, and he's very dirty, grimy, creative. He likes to change things around a lot, but everything looks good. He doesn't use dirt in a scruffy way. He uses dirt in a tasteful way to communicate something specific. Yes. It's not an excuse just to be shit at painting.
No.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and some people don't kind of realise that's what they are doing. You know, but again, it's fun.
Well, everything that you add to a miniature, as you were saying before about having that imagination of looking at your grey miniatures unpainted, but your imagination is at work. Well, everything you add to a miniature is part of a story, isn't it? Everything you're doing is creating a story for.
Yeah, I'm trying
miniature.
to trigger something in you.
Yeah, at some point, if we take this lieutenant.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Are there also
If we take
right
that
tenants?
lieutenant,
He's
what? Sorry.
He's a sergeant,
Oh, he's a sergeant, isn't he? He's no stripes on his armour.
Yeah, I was only saying it to wind you up.
Yeah, you've led me down at
And the internet.
lead me down a bum steer there.
A red helmet is sergeant.
Yeah, it is.
Red helmet, white stripe, veteran sergeant.
That's right.
There you
And
go.
then,
Blue
but
and white.
you think at some point something heavy potentially rolls over that and create that crack in that ground.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. I'm no great shakes of a painter, but I always like to, I'm a bit like I always like to think there's always a bit of a story behind. It's like I was in the military for 10 years, as people are probably bored of me saying. Well, I used to paint the most
During the war.
Yes. Shaking the table of the barrages coming in. But I used to paint a lot of Infinity miniatures.
Yeah.
And they had ones that looked a little bit like standard 21st century army.
Oh, the panel Shiana.
Ariadne.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
And whenever I painted them, I always used to paint them with, even if they were stood up, I'd always dry brush the knees in to look like they had mud on them, because at some point in time they've been on at least a particular knee for firing from the, or I'd do them a little bit on their chest, on their elbows where they grow. And I always think, because I think you can have the dirty soldiers from just being stood up, but the fact they will have interacted with the ground.
Yeah.
The minute they're shot at,
Absolutely.
you're always interacting with the ground, as it's referred to, as called getting on your belt buckle. You get down.
Yeah.
And that to me always, and I'm thinking if people paint and I don't see that, that's the bit that disconnects me from.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah.
or every scratch and nick and everything, you're telling a story, aren't you?
Yeah, you are telling a story.
And I think that's the important thing. I think is to me is like, do I feel like that guy's there?
Yeah. Well, this is like a non-Mets question. I mean, again, we've diverted from the book, haven't we? But here we go. It's like a non-Mets question. Non-Mets isn't about creating realistic light on what might be a shiny metal object. It's about getting people to create an environment in their own imagination around that model, which for everyone is going to be different. And if you can make a brushstroke conjure an image in someone's head, then you've done that brushstroke right.
Yeah.
So you could look at it in this way. If when I look at a piece of art, I see imagery and then painting, then you've done it right. If I see painting and then add the imagery, then you've done it not as right. Still did it right, but we're talking high-end ballpark here.
Yeah.
Because as much as I might say things like I did a second ago, like, well, it's not an excuse just for doing shit painting, but that comes from a certain point of view. And because all points of view are valid at the end of the day, because I meant what I said about no one's a shit painter. But there is certain ways of looking at things. Like, you need 6 Urukai painting in a day. I guarantee a Golden Demon winner is not going to be your kind of painter.
Yeah.
So anyway, to rewind, what was I saying?
I can't remember now. I just drinking in what you're telling me.
This is the thing. I get on mad tangents and just waffle. So we're talking about conjuring imagery with a brushstroke versus the imagery coming after the brushstroke, right? Because the imagery coming after the brushstroke, if I see a brushstroke on a model and I go, I see what he's tried to do there. That's the dig, innit? Really? And I'm all right, okay, I see what that's meant to be. But that's not the same as doing it. Whereas if I see the thing and I go, oh, wow, oh, yeah, here's how it's done. Then the wowers come first. Do you know what I mean? It's like the magician. You don't want to see the trick and go, oh, yeah, clever, I like the way he did that. You're not wowed by the magic. You're wowed by the thing behind the set, aren't you?
Yeah.
So if I can get a brushstroke to do that, like you feel that more than you see the brushstroke, that highlight there. That one, see what I mean? And it's just a fucking brushstroke.
Yeah.
Well, it's 2 or 3 brushstrokes, but the point is you see it and feel it.
Yeah.
You don't go, oh wow, that's small and sharp and neat, and you don't quantify the brushstroke. You see the effect first. Ragnar's face. You feel threatened first. Yeah.
I feel threatened by your painting.
But you look at his face. You don't break it down. In fact,
No.
it becomes very difficult to break it down into brushstrokes because you get sucked into his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see expression on his face, and those lines are painted on to make him look extra angry. His crow's feet are enhanced for very deliberate reasons, and like that's there for everyone to learn. It's in the power of how well do you do one brushstroke. It's not anything more than that. So Christoph Kiel.
Yes, and
Right.
the forward for his book.
I know. So the forward for his book. No, but it's about his book. His book actually was inspirational. It really helped me inform what I was about to write because it's about art. It's about how do you take these lifeless bits of plastic and these lifeless pots of liquid colour and turn them into something that makes you emote, makes you feel, in Christoph's case, discomfort, I would say, because his work is very Blanchitsu based, and John likes to express discomfort a lot. And each artist has their own thing like that to express. In some instances, it's like Kata Readers. I've just had a quick flip through because that's the one book I haven't actually got in my collection at home. That it's very fantastic.
Yeah.
That's what's expressed, fantasy. But I think the word fantasy is not fantastic enough to express what her painting style actually conveys.
Yeah.
So each of these artists brings those different things. Christoph, Anna, Bjarne being similar veins.
Yeah, Bjarne has a real grimdark Blanchitsu thing going on as well.
grimdark Blanchitsu, but it's what they bring in addition to that. So they'll do it. Like especially Anna, she'll add in she hand draws playing cards and writes backgrounds and maps and all types of things. And that book is an experience in itself to read through. It's kind of dark and brooding and moody. Christoph's is like how I think about doing these things while bringing that dark and moody in. I've not read Miniature Monthly. Chris Shurry is about composition and colour, how to place models in the right place to create the right effects and how to assess them and make changes to that to get biggest impact within your fantasy situation. Saini shares an all-round hobbyist kind of skill set. He shows armies, he shows single miniature painting, but his is about how to use colour in mad ways. So all the colours you look at, you don't expect any of them colours to appear where they are, which is a good lesson for people. Like, colour can be used however you want. In fact, what was I watching? Was it Artist Opus podcast? People were talking about how do people perceive leather to be leather when it's not leather, and the answer is because it's the shape of the thing you expect it to be, not because of the colours you used.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So, for example, if I paint a sword in leather colours using leather painting techniques, if you will, you'll go, that's a sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You won't see leather.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I paint a bag in non-met colours, you'll probably still see leather.
Yeah.
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 Because it's the shape of the object that we imprint our own assumptions on. And that's kind of how it works. But anyway, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there's a few books I've not got that I'm actually excited to get. Miniature Monthly being one of
We
them.
were lucky enough to see be in book number 7. We were lucky enough to have Eric Swinson doing a little bit of demo painting when we were at Adepticon.
Really? Right, brilliant.
Yeah, he was.
I've not looked at his book,
Yeah, he was a nice chap.
He was. I bought. Can I do the apology? So
Yeah,
I bought Eric's book, and I've only got a couple of 3 of these, and I've got them, and I kind of bought them because I did a quick video on Adepticon saying, "Oh, we were there" and stuff, and I said, "Oh yeah," and we had Eric Swanson come to the booth, and I realised as soon as I pressed live. And watched it through, I was like, it's not Swanson, it's Swinson. Why have I done that? So I had to remove it, put a quick thing in there, didn't have time to re-edit it, re-upload it. So as my penance, I've supported Eric, and I bought your book, and I will read it. So yeah, but I feel bad about that.
So like I say, there's 3 more on the way.
There is 3 more.
Kickstarter will be probably live by the time you're watching this. And also, if we do our little bit of shameless bit of plugging for this, for our Patreons, they're going to get the chance to win these first 9 books.
I mean, I've got to become a patron. I have to buy all them as well, you know. I got the ones that came through my Kickstarter with mine, but I have to buy the rest.
So we're going to give the 9 of them away, and then we will also, as a runner-up's prize, we'll give your one away as well.
Oh, wicked!
As well, so your book will go out there into the world twice. Would you be kind enough to sign them for us?
Yeah, of course I would.
That's
Absolutely.
really nice of you. And then when we do our little bit that we're going to do in a few minutes for our Patreon viewers, the question to win these beautiful Mighty Tomes will be in there. I'm really excited for whoever gets these, if they haven't gotten them already, because they are gorgeous things. Not massively looking forward to putting them in the post, it's got to be said. But
oh, do you know what? Crazy. Are you sending them worldwide?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see who wins.
It's going to be insane. Yeah,
depends on where they live. It might be actually cheaper for me to just get me van and deliver them.
Yeah. Road trip. I'm down for that. Yeah, deliver them in person.
Yeah. So that might be the other part of the prize. Is not only will you win 9 books, but you'll learn whether you see it as a prize or a downside. You might end up meeting your doorstep with them in a box.
That's like at least 50 quid if it goes to the US.
Oh, yeah.
Or more.
I don't know. I think there's because it's paper.
Oh, crazy, yeah.
Because it's paper, I think there's a difference in postage prices. I had this once when I sent a load of books. She went, "Oh, is it paper?" I was like, "Yeah." And the lady in the shop was like, "Oh, that's significantly cheaper." Don't know if it's the same international.
You go, yes, this is. This is. What are you sending them to America? Bibles. They're all Bibles.
Bibles,
America, does that come with some level of discount?
Pass.
Oh, brilliant. What an awesome book.
But yeah, we'll have a look.
We put the word out on Patreon that you were coming on, Tommy, and we've got a couple of questions for you from our Patreon supporters. And Chris Hanley.
All right. Hi, Chris.
Says...
Darker Days Radio.
Yeah, he says, say hi to Tommy for me. Glad you got him on, and I hope to see him at UKGE. Question, funniest thing that ever happened while working at GW?
Oh.
That you're allowed to talk about.
I'm allowed to talk about.
I guess.
Funniest thing. Do you know what? There's a couple of things I don't think I should talk about. I don't know if he's even referring to them. Do you know what? Right, working at Games Workshop Manchester was a lark. It was at a time where Games Workshop was very free, very generous, very supportive and kind. And hobby was very much at the front of how you achieve what you achieve as far as numbers goes. That's how I remember it.
Yeah.
Whether that was their intention, I don't know. But you know, it was a special time and a special store. I think the Games Workshop Manchester, all up until the retail standards came, it was a fantastic place. But one thing I do remember is whipping the living daylights out of each other with range rulers.
Oh, they were great. The red 12-inch range ruler.
Yeah.
They made that proper whippy noise.
Yeah.
Are these the ones that you can get now?
They come now with Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
We would break them on each other. Like,
we've got to go some to break one of them.
We would go. And
is that where the scar came from?
Like, I think that entire period was just fantastic. It had its ups and downs because, you know, we're humaning. But yeah, that period was just amazing. And Chris is part of that period, he used to work with him as a part-time staff member, or key timer as they were called back then.
Yeah.
You know. Funniest thing, I don't know, we had some mad nights out and all.
Is this where the scar came? No.
I tell you what, nearly. There was one night out where some guy he did lay his hands on me, and a fight nearly had to happen. I full on bricked my pants, but that was somehow and magically nullified. You know, that was insane. That when I think about it, funniest thing, I don't know. Like, hard to say. It's hard to say. Without sharing a story. That would incriminate
you or anyone else.
Yeah, me or anyone else. There's some things I'd say in it privately. But
We'll get them off air.
But not on camera.
And you can find out the illegal things on the exclusive Patreon.
Yeah, the Patreon,
yeah.
And then one final question. It says, have you ever tried painting cake or any other hidden Easter egg into your minis and busts? And if yes,
the thing now is cake on miniatures.
which is your favourite?
What do you mean by cake on miniatures that I'm missing out by?
Oh,
do you
like,
mean?
have you ever painted like an Easter egg, like a hidden object into your miniatures?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, this would be a bit
That's
of
all
fun.
over me models all the time. There's one on the table right now in front of you.
Is this? Do we have to spot it? We'll have them spinning
do you know,
round.
yeah, go for it. Go on,
I
let's see
enjoy
if we can have a go.
the Darren Latham leg.
Yeah. Well, that had to come because that's an example of. I think how to do things right, and I really like it. I'd like to do the full model.
Yeah.
And it's me kind of emulating somebody else's, not necessarily style or work, but using their information in my way. And that's something I think everybody should have a go at.
If I ask you a question then,
Go on.
as a patron, even though I'm not actually a patron, but as a patron, I'll pretend. Who's your favourite painter?
There's different painters for different reasons,
I knew you'd say that.
yeah, because that's the honest answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
some
truth.
some artists you like for this, and some artists you like for something else.
Yeah, like for sharpness of sharpness and smallness of line, Paul Norton. And I think one of my favourite painted models in Warhammer World is Max Fillet's Terran Knight.
Right.
The Imperial Knight in blue with the horse heads on it. One of the first.
Oh yes,
ones
yes, I do
painted
know that one actually.
I think it's Max's anyway. I might be wrong, but that really excites me because the cleanliness with which he painted every bit of it just blows my mind. And that's something to aspire to. I've always been a fan of Darren Latham. Oh, Latham, who do we say? How does he say
Latham,
it?
as far as we know.
Yeah, so I've always been a fan of Darren.
If you're posh, it's Latham.
Latham, yeah. Darren Latham.
Darren Latham. Menarche
Tim Prow. Tim Prow will always be up there as one of my favourites. I think that guy is underrated and under-celebrated. Given that, in my opinion, he is the father of fantasy and science fiction, war games, miniatures, non-metal metallics techniques.
Yeah.
He is the father. And because, in my opinion, he did the first one, which was Captain Tycho.
Yeah.
White Dwarf 139 again, I think. But that.
I miss Tycho. Always was such a gorgeous model.
Yeah.
I like the fact
one.
he had the bottle to go. He got killed. I like the fact that they had the bottle for it. It was always a shame to see it go.
Yeah. It was a shame to see him lose his blank face as well and get the half face mask.
His Phantom of the Opera mask.
Yeah. So Tim Prow, and there's some heavy metal articles on that isolate Tim's work that actually play an existing role in how I paint to this day. Like every Space Marine should have heraldry,
Yeah.
which is why he has heraldry.
Yeah.
It's there on him, as is the Easter egg. Right.
Oh, the Easter eggs on there.
That's
Ross
the
has
one
been
I
looking
haven't.
for
I know,
ages.
if anyone's been watching, I've been picking up them one at a time. That's the one I haven't touched.
All right.
I might have to give this to you to find it.
So
Go on, you carry on.
Yeah.
So Tim Prow definitely. There's some of his work, like he painted Ultramarine Captain with like the Roman sword, and it always has a back banner. The Marine should always have back banners. All captains should have back banners and heraldry on because it looks cool. I don't care whether it's practical for getting into a rhino or not.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care. He presses a button and go gadget banner.
Yeah.
He's coming to screw up you and your lady, And Alfonso Heraldez, without a doubt, because again, that's about you. So Alfonso will use very obvious brushstrokes, but you are communicated the message instead of the brushstroke.
Yeah.
You see expression, you see volume, you see flapping a cloak before you see brushstroke. And no matter how hard you look at brushstroke, you will automatically flip back to see the effect he's trying to express to you.
Yeah.
And that's a valuable skill. You know, a lot of people are trying to chase flawless blends, and it's nice, but can you make a blend appear flawless when it isn't? Now that's a different skill, and that's technical. Well, that's technical and emotional.
Yeah.
And that's a double hit. You know, so for all them technical painters out there, there's something else.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and some people will use texture to create flawless blends, but they'll be using that out of an insecurity because they can't necessarily blend, and that then becomes part of their style. But it's still different to using a very obvious brushstroke to create a very obvious message. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
So I would, you know, but yeah, I mean, let's go up the list here. Christoph, Anna, and Bjarne all express something very particular in how they paint. You know, that Blanchard's style is inspirational to me. You know, I like to try and salt and pepper it in here and there where I can. I mean, Andy Wardle, you know, I got to judge his work again this year, and it always impresses me.
Yeah.
You know,
Which one? Do you remember which one it was? That
the Lumberjack.
Oh,
Lumberjack.
okay. Yeah.
So I mean, his work on the leather there, you know. So I get to look at models in a very particular way when I'm judging, and I do look at models even online in a very particular way. I do look with those two eyes, and it's always impressive when people use brushwork in a very particular way to create a certain effect. You know, that's what I was just saying before. Like, there's obvious brushstrokes, but then the effect is communicated. That's a top level painting. You know, like the Nike swoosh only really communicates swoosh.
Yeah.
Doesn't communicate thin, wider, long and thin. You know, it's just, you don't go, it's just the shape. There's an experience in there of speed and dynamic. It's there. There's no blending. Do you know what I mean? There's there's nothing in there. It's just a shape. Yeah, that shape was crafted deliberately to give you an experience. You know, and there's not many artists can do that. And that needs celebrating. And it's not about fuck smoothness or any of that business. It's not about being allowed to paint any lines wherever. It's about honing your craft, about to create a very specific effect. I mean, cartoon painters, drawers, illustrators do it all the time. You know, Bugs Bunny. You don't look at Bugs Bunny and go, yeah, it's just a basic thing. The amount of mischief in any picture of Bugs Bunny, just standing there, it oozes mischief. Oh my God. Do you know what I mean? So cartoonists do it all the time, and you know, it's not about even realism. Like for example, let's grab this guy. Anything real about that weird highlight there? But if I hadn't have pointed it out, would it have stuck out?
No, I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
You know, you just take it as part of the thing. Don't
Yeah,
you?
but this guy is like, it's hard to, like, early 2000s comic book style drawers
Yeah.
would use ideas like that on swords. It's not a real highlight, but it absolutely fits the piece. You know,
I got someone gave me some similar advice with color once, and it's like, depending the style you want to communicate. So a lot of people now look at, and again, I was just playing with color, so it's not right or wrong. A lot of people will look at the Games Workshop approach of, right, it's McCrag blue, and then the highlight. I'm guessing it might not be McCrag blue, but you highlight your ultramarines with your McCrag, then Calgar, then maybe something else, or whatever the order is. And then someone pointed out, like, actually, if you're communicating the style of, look at an ultramarine as Superman, generally blue. If you're putting him out on a sunny day and the sun's bleating out from him, actually, his edge highlight goes from yellow to green, then to blue. And I was like, whoa, does that work on Space Marines? And I did a video using the Pro Acryl paints. And I was like, I'm going to edge highlight this using yellow. And it not like an ice yellow, an off-white yellow. And it works, it pops.
yeah, of course, it's going to work.
And it's just, boom. And it'd never win, it'd never be right. It was a quick paint job. But I'm like,
You don't know
that's
that.
interesting.
You don't know that. Never win or never be
wouldn't.
right.
It wouldn't. I know it wouldn't win a golden demon kind of thing. It was very much It was spray paint, dry brush, oil wash, but
the paint job in general, but the colour choice.
Exactly. The colour choice.
Still be an
I learned
ingredient.
something from that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Saney is good for that. Can a drag series book out?
Yeah,
So I really want to celebrate these guys a bit more than I am doing. But check it out, mad colour choices.
Yeah.
Mad colour choices.
Yeah.
You know, who has purple stubble?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's many
Well,
colours in
it's
there,
great.
but
It
purple's not one of them.
Mad colour choices and not some mad ones there, weirdly. But yeah, what a great painter. You know.
I do love that. It's the reason
colour
why.
choices.
Yeah.
Just mad patterns. Yeah, what original, I would say.
That's it. It's
the
the reason
pages
why
I've not found is maddest.
why I picked up Kat's book, because I love her work. Like I saw it in person at LVO.
Yeah.
But I'd seen it in Adepticon the year before. Like the colours of some of the things, and I think she's one of them where people will be like, it's not quite Golden Demon style, but it's the one that, to me, like, as much as I love Golden Demon from a technical aspect, I always am attracted to the ones that are just more visually striking. So the ones like this that use colour in such vivid and vibrant ways, I'm like, oh yeah, I do like that. And then he's got the skill to go with it. So
Mad, isn't it? Like, look at this guy. That's a purple pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much purple in that miniature,
yeah.
in that shouldn't be there, but it strangely all works. doesn't it?
What colour is that orc? I don't know what colour that orc is.
there you go,
Yeah, let me
said purple pig.
Oh, yeah.
What colour is that orc? I
Yeah.
can't say.
Yeah, you can't say
No.
what colour it is, can't you?
Like what colour is the skin? You'd be like, pinky,
But
greeny,
none of the colours are wrong.
purpley thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just works. Yeah.
Yeah, everything looks illustratively real.
Yeah.
Yeah. The job is done. So what colours are bad colour choices? Well, I don't know.
And no
You know?
shuttles, no
No,
shuttering.
yeah, because we're free to do what we want to do. And then with time comes your ability to become more aware of how you do things. And then you'll start to make more refined choices, which is why you should paint more models more of the
Yeah.
time if you want to get better. And you start to develop a thing based on what you think works. You know, and if you want to know more about what works, well, look at the things that inspire you, because they obviously work.
Yeah.
Use them things like you did
Yeah.
with
yeah.
the yellow, apply it
Just
to
random.
something else. It doesn't have to be the same thing, and see if it works for you again, and keep finding that. Although I've just said the one phrase that really does bug me, actually. Find what works for you and stick with that. No, don't find what works for you and stick with that. There are lots of things in miniature painting that don't work for you because you haven't developed the skills. Develop the fucking skills. Yeah. Well, as far as taste goes,
Yeah.
understand what excites your taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And use it everywhere and see how to make it work.
I found the Easter egg,
Okay, go on.
Same.
and it relates to our first ever guest. I think he may well have been.
Oh, Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Naismith.
Oh yeah.
Worked with
Good
Bobby
point.
on Atlantic.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because on the base of this beautiful base that I've already looked at, and I'm now annoyed with myself, I didn't spot the first time round.
Because you did eyeball that
I
base.
did, and yeah. And it shows how good the cracked work is, because I completely ignored the little serial number painted on the base that says RTB01 being the code for the first ever Space Marine.
Let's see. Oh, I was going to say
Very
we should have
good.
left that what it is and see how many people in the comments
maybe
knew
that
what
could
it
have been the
was.
question. But these are beautiful. We'll be giving them away for our Patreons. Thank you from the absolute bottom of my heart for making the journey over the Pennines today. It's been
my
an
pleasure, you know.
absolute joy, and my brain feels like it's going to pour out my ear. I've learned so much, and you've told me so many things that just give me a bit of a realignment, I think.
Quick break. We're doing again. Halfway, yeah.
I think we could get you back over from Manchester about once a month.
I'll do it.
I think.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Would you
Yeah.
come back again?
Of course I would.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's
That'd be
really, really
brilliant.
kind of you.
You know, if I can encourage people to paint more models for their happiness, I will do.
Well, that's sort of funny, because that lines up with one of the reasons we do this show.
Yeah.
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 And the idea of these talking things are nice background to have on while people are painting their miniatures.
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, there's no such thing as a shit model, unless it's not hitting your objectives.
Yeah.
And this is a nice way of ending it, actually. If your own painting isn't hitting your objectives, then you are not a shit painter. You just need to develop some areas. So you need to identify what them areas are and start taking steps towards improving them towards your objectives, not anyone else's. That's what you have to do. Any model you're not happy with is just not finished. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Tommie's got The Art Of, which is available from Dave Taylor Miniatures. It's also available through Warlord. It's available through friends of ours, being Element Games.
We'll stick some links in the
Yeah,
description.
stick some links in.
Depends where you are on the planet.
Yeah.
If you're in the States, go through Dave and his camp. If you're on this side of the planet, then you go through Warlord or Element.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Warlord are the main distributors, so they're more likely to have stock in. Element sell it a little bit cheaper.
And
There you go.
And I can really recommend it. Tommie's book is just a really great book for all levels of painters to just learn something new out of. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll be all the way over there, and we'll be talking to Tommie a bit more in a few minutes over on Patreon. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Bye bye.